We at Picmonic love your questions. Leave your questions in the chat widget. It's down there in the bottom right-hand corner, and we'll answer all your questions at the end. And make sure you guys stay tuned because we'll be having a drawing for a 1-year free subscription to Picmonic. And you definitely have to be present in order to win that. This webinar will also be available on YouTube tomorrow, and Picmonic will email that link as well. Finally, stay tuned because there is a special promotion at the end of this. So I know a bunch of people are starting to come in, so I'll give you guys about 27 seconds to get here. It's an odd number. It's an odd number for people to get here, but you have 27 seconds. Your time is now up. It is not, I don't know. Do you know how to count? Like, make sure you guys are here on time. You got to be prompt for when things are happening. Welcome to this awesome Picmonic webinar hosted by myself, Kevin Gibson, aka the Boot Nurse, and we have Kristen. I'm not going to pronounce her last name because I always feel like I mess people's last names up. So, Kristen, welcome. How are you?
I'm good, and you?
Well, I don't work nights like you yet, but I woke up from a nap because I had today off because yesterday was crazy. So, you know, I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm pretty tired, not gonna lie. I worked the past like 3 nights. I did two 12s back to back, and then I had to do like an online course,
Yeah.
Which took about 15 hours in total. Other than that, I'm good.
Oh, that's good. That's what's up. Hey, well, I appreciate you wanting to, collab, and I appreciate Picmonic for setting us both up so we can, give the people what they want. Like, nursing is no joke. Like, it's one of those careers that you definitely have to, put your feet in the ground and get real solidified in what you want to do, and then you can take off. So, like I said, I appreciate you being here with me so we can, drop some knowledge on all these boot nurses. Y'all see what I did there? Anyways, so a little bit about me. My name is Kevin Gibson, also known as the Boot Nurse. I have been a nurse for 3 years, but I just started my working nursing journey starting in August. I am a ICU nurse, medical ICU nurse, and I work in a COVID unit. And a little bit about me, for people that don't know who I am, and you should be following me if you haven't, as well as you should be following Kristen if you haven't. I was in active duty in the Navy for 13 years, 9 months, 6 days. Nobody was counting that. And so I have a military background as a hospital corpsman. And now I am a nurse working in a civilian hospital. What about you, Kristen?
Hi, everyone. My name's Kristen. My last name is pronounced Waldorf, like the salad, the hotel, whichever you need to pronounce it correctly.
Yeah.
So a little bit about myself. I am a new grad. I graduated in May. I did an accelerated nursing program originally, and I know I've talked about my story on YouTube. I was pre-med, kind of took some time off and realized that I wanted more of that hands-on patient care. Didn't really quite know where to go, and I actually enrolled in a master's program for bioethics. So I have a master's degree where essentially I could help build an ethics committee and really help make sure that we are doing the right thing for the patient. But ethics is a long conversation I'll save for another day.
Yeah.
So yeah, after my ethics degree, I enrolled in a BSN program for more cost-effective purposes. And now I am a night shift nurse working as a newborn nurse. So I work in the labor and delivery unit, and I'm essentially the baby catcher. And I make sure that baby transitions well for the first 2 hours. So that's my job. And yeah, that's pretty much about me.
That's awesome. I can tell you right now that little people scare me. I know we're not supposed to say little people, by definition, but they are little people because they're people and they're little. Hello. Yeah. Hey, shout out to you for doing labor and delivery. I did labor and delivery. The only time I did it was in nursing school. Not only did I feel uncomfortable because I felt like I was just in the wrong spot, but babies are just not for me, not my thing at all. Hey, welcome everybody. Hey, make sure you guys say what's up to us. Tell us where you're from. Let us know where you guys are from and where you guys are in your nursing journey. Let us know in the chat. Make sure y'all say what's up to Heather. Y'all say hi, Heather. Hey, what's up, Arkansas? That's what I'm talking about. Little Rock, Maine. I ain't never been up there. Is that Chico, California? Massachusetts, Alabama, Hartford, Connecticut. Hey, shout out to Austin. That's what I'm talking about. You about an hour up the road. Providence, Rhode Island. Chicago. What's up from Philly? That's what I'm talking about. Hey, I love all y'all. That's what I'm talking about. Wisconsin, it's cold. It's gonna be cold real soon up there. Florida, third year, love it. Portland, yeah. Long Beach. Hey, shout out to Long Beach, like Long Beach, Griffey. Love it, love it. Is that Tuscan or Tucson? Is it Tucson? I feel like some people are gonna get mad at me if I say that wrong. But hey, shout out to all y'all for showing up and coming to get some of this knowledge. So, question: how'd you find out about Picmonic?
So for me personally, I watched a lot of YouTubers back way before I started nursing school, and a few of them actually talked about Picmonic. So I knew I wanted to start looking into it right before nursing school. And I did like a little trial run to figure out if I would like it. And then I started actually using it my third semester, more so for like OB peds, and then for advanced med surg as well. So like my ICU course. And yeah, and I even used extra resources. So I have my books here. I just had to show them. So like my study planner for Nclex and then my cheat sheets as well. So I definitely got more in depth with Picmonic the longer my program went on.
Yeah, I kind of had kind of that similar situation, but it wasn't, like my third year because I was in an accelerated BSN program because I had already did my prerequisites. So I had an 18-month bachelor's degree program, and it was all 100% online, not the COVID Rona edition to where you do clinicals, the health assessment and all the other stuff. Like we actually got to go to clinicals and stuff, but this was way, pre-COVID. And I didn't find out about Picmonic until after I had graduated and I was studying for my Nclex. And when I was studying for my Nclex, I had a friend of mine who was trying to get into nursing school, and she told me about Picmonic. And I'm like, what is that? And then she showed me, and I remember someone vaguely showing me my first year. And when I looked at it, I was just like, man, like I should have looked more into depth to that. And so when I was studying for my Nclex and I was going onto their YouTube channel, that's when it like really hit me. And then one of those ones that I love how they have the mnemonics that are actually in picture form, and then they have it on their online where they're telling a story. And when they're telling a story about it, like it makes it sink in a little bit more. Like there's always those mnemonics, those little ditties, or anything that people remember. And I always associate mine with bad words because you always remember the bad words first. It's kind of like where you learn a different language and you always learn the bad words first. Why? Why are we the way that we are? It shouldn't be that way, but it is. So, so I found out about Picmonic, late in the game. But when I found out about Picmonic, they had a 4-week Nclex planner, and it was after I had essentially passed. And I was like, man, why didn't I have this like way after the fact? And then, now it's just, I look at it, often, just like, even as a new grad, I'm just like, okay, well, how can I remember, all of, my electrolyte imbalances, or how can I remember ABG interpretations? And, for the critical thinking aspect, ABG interpretations will let you know what's going on with your patient so you can inform the doc. And then that way you can, actively provide that patient care based off of what you have going on. So, love Picmonic, thought it was great. I thought it was fantastic. And it really helped out for me, at least in that aspect, for me to, get all that taken care of. So shout out to Picmonic. Shout out to you guys for the schedule book. I kind of made a schedule for myself, but it looked nothing like that. It was just on a calendar and it was scribbles and it said content. I wish I had it so I could pull it up, but I don't need people judging me on my handwriting because I write like a doc, which you can't understand anything that they write because they are apparently toddlers. So, but yeah, so, that's how essentially I discovered Picmonic. And so let's talk about them a little bit. So for those that don't know, that Picmonic also has a app as well as their website. They actually mirror each other. So how was your experience when you were using like the website and the app?
So for me, like you had said, the website and the app are pretty much the same. You'll have like a search engine area where you can look up whatever topic you're looking for. So for me, for example, when I was studying for Nclex, I really needed a video program to show me developmental milestones,
Right.
and this is for peds. I would look up online and I basically could stop where I wanted to on that video and basically pick it right up on the app. So the app's very user friendly. It will have little areas where you could kind of like section off for NCLEX, and
Mhm.
then you can basically look through all the topics that they have. It's very organized. So you'll
Yes.
have it by subject. And for example, I went right into peds nursing, and then my developmental milestones were right there. So it's very user friendly, and I am not the most technologically savvy. I need a lot of help in that area. So if you can just log on and search for what you need, the videos play. So you'll have either questions at the beginning just to test your knowledge, and that actually showed up on the app as well. You can watch the video, and then after you can test yourself as well. I definitely feel like I liked, for example, the app better, but that's just because I feel like I'm on my phone a lot more versus my computer.
Right. Yeah, and I kind of noticed that the same thing for me. It's just other than being on Instagram or being on Facebook or any of those apps that we're on, it's like you're sitting, you're waiting, you're doing something somewhere, and boom, you could just pop the app open, and wherever you left off on the website,
Mhm.
you will pop back on the app, and it'll kind of like save your spot. The categories are great. Mine, I like to call the nurse killer, which is pharmacology. That is everyone's like just like the bane of everyone's existence. And I'm just going to tell you guys right now is no matter where you are in your nursing journey, pharmacology it's always going to be there. Like, I don't know who came up with the scientific names, the generic names, but they're horrible people. And they should make it easier. But pharmacology is great. It was fantastic. They break everything down, which I thought was great. The topics are great. They have it broken down by even books. So even if you go in there and you look and it's broken down by books, it'll have like the med surge book, it'll have the pharmacology book, it'll also have, what else will it have? It'll have med surge, pharmacology, OB, med surge, well, 1 and 2. I'm pretty sure I already said that. But in everything that is great within that, like everything that you would need for essentially like what you would need for nursing school. They even have it broken down by the NCLEX. So if you have the Saunders NCLEX book, which I don't have, obviously, because I
I
probably
have it right here.
Hey, shout out. You have the Saunders NCLEX book. They actually have they have Picmonic categories that will correlate with that book. So it's like, hey, like if you're over there and you're trying to just really understand a topic, go into the NCLEX section, find your book, and it'll have those Picmonics broken down from A to Z throughout that entire book, or those things that correlate for them. And another great thing, let's talk about Picmonics cheat sheet, or what we like to call their critical clinicals little booklet. This one is the most recent that they came out with, which it helps for nursing school and NCLEX study and for new grads. And since me and Kristen are both new grads, it has everything broken down. Like they have future a letter for future nurses because they care about you. They have test strategies, everything that's on Picmonic would be in here. They have QR codes that are in here that'll take you straight to that Picmonic. That'll help you out, or it'll take you straight there. Lab values, websites, step by step. They even have critical tips that for you to remember. So if you're in the beginning of your program, this is a great little additive that you can throw on with yourself, so you guys can make sure you guys are getting all that knowledge, because all of it's available to you. It's just, how do you want to use it? I wish I wouldn't. I think for me personally is I was stubborn, because I was super stubborn. Like I said, I was in the Navy for a very long time, and I was very set on my ways. And the thing about corpsmen, I can say the same thing about medics in the Air Force and in the Army, is that we do a lot of hands-on stuff. So when somebody's trying to tell me to do something, I'm like, no, I already know it, which made fundamentals hard for me, which I almost failed it, and which made the Nclex even harder for me, which I failed it 3 times. And I've already talked about that numerous times. If you guys want to go check that out, you guys go check that out on YouTube or where I talked about it on Instagram. But just to let you know, is like you guys have a plethora of information available to you with Picmonic and all these other things. It's just your choice on what you guys want to use. So that's like really my spiel on at least the cheat sheet, you know, because you have the cheat sheet available. Of course, you have the, you know, the Nclex guide, which is fantastic. And then you also have, you know, they have other little like widgets. They have an add-on widget that I forgot what it was called. Forgive me, Heather. I forgot what it was called, but they have another widget that you guys can use as well that could that helps you when you're searching online. I forgot what it was called. We'll talk about that if it pops back up into my, you know, my very slow brain. Oh, it's called the Chrome extension. Yeah, there's the Chrome extension. So the Chrome extension is super helpful once you guys decide that you guys want to add it. Anytime you type in anything medical related, you'll start to see a line that's underlined or a word that's underlined. And if you hover your cursor over it, it will pull up everything that is involved with that from Picmonic and all of its partners. So Picmonic, Osmosis, so on and so forth. And I see it all the time. I actually forgot that I had it, and I was just like, what is this line? Boop. And I was just like, Picmonic. So I thought Picmonic was hacking my Google account or something, and we were going to have a problem, but you know, they were good. They were all right. Y'all good. Shout out to Picmonic. Y'all know. So I think that's pretty much all I really have to say about Picmonic. They have a lot of great resources. Remember, it's your choice on what you want to use and what you want to buy. You know, your power is in your pocket. So, but use what you have to the fullest of your abilities. But we also
could I add one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
One thing that I wanted to say, which was really helpful for me with Picmonic, so a lot of people don't know, but I struggle with just like ADD and like really focusing attention, anything that has to do with sitting down and studying for long periods of time. I know I've talked about it on my channel a little bit, but not too much. And Picmonic videos were really great for me, especially when they're like 2 to like 5 minutes long, because some of these resources on YouTube that are free to you, they're 10 to 40 minutes long, depending on what what you're watching, what topic. And sometimes just having that information really jam-packed in a 5-minute video is so helpful for somebody like me, because then I can go back and rewatch it a couple times and be able to take a break. So right. I just wanted to add that in there because I feel like for me it was so helpful, especially like I said, OB, peds, topics that were kind of foreign to me that I didn't really know at first. Picmonic really helped me learn that material, and the mnemonics were so great. So I just wanted to throw that in there because I know I'm not the only one who probably struggles with either ADD or any other type of like mental health or anything that might prevent you from learning material faster. So I just wanted to say that.
No, like that brings up a really good point. I appreciate that, because remember that everybody learns different. The way of learning by death by PowerPoint or by your instructors telling you to just read it and the material is there, you know, those days are over. Like me, I'm a kinesthetic learner. Like I have to be touching things. Like I learn by touching, I learn by doing. Certain things I learned by audio. Like I can, like if you wanted me to read this great pharmacology book right here, Made Easy, I would fall asleep. Like, but if you had it on audio, like, which is why I love podcasts, if you have it on audio, I could sit there and drive to work for 15 minutes, get me 15 minutes of knowledge that I would listen to. You know, I would get way more from that than I would from, you know, from sitting there reading a book. So know what is the best way for you to learn. Like, I know that you are a read-write, which is why you have that when you do your pharmacology cards, like you are a read-write. You read it, you write it down. It stinks. It doesn't stink. Those are great cards. It sticks and it sticks, and you write them down, and then you move on to the next one. So just know what your learning abilities are and what is the best way for you as a person to obtain knowledge. But not only with Picmonic are there like really great resources, we have a whole bunch of other ones that we used, you know, to essentially help us succeed. First one I want to talk about is Mark Clement. If anybody did you use Mark Clement?
Yes, I did.
So shout out to Mark Clement. All right. So first thing I'm going to say about Mark Clement is that Yes, I know his audios are out there. Yes, his audios are extremely outdated. They're like from 2008, 9, 10. Some of you were like not born, maybe. I was like, if you're in here, like, dude, you're like super young. But like his audio is very old. However, very, very relevant. And the one thing I will say is I understand that it's out there. One thing, I just don't try to sell somebody else's intellectual property because that's stealing. I acquired it because it was given to me, just like other people it was given to. But he does have a review. You can physically go to that review, but he also has a really big team. I went to the review February of 2019, and that yellow book and blue book are very real things. They are very real things. And I can tell you right now, it's when I went to the review after hearing it so many times, I was in the yellow book going the same time because I went to the one in Houston. It's exactly how Mark has it set up to for you to learn. So the same exact way that the audio is the same exact way that it happened in 2019. But you do have to remember that there are a bunch of changes that are going to be happening to the Nclex. So when the Nclex changes, know a lot of these reviews, to Picmonic included, are going to change the way that they deliver that study material, you know, so it can fit the Nclex and make sure that it's easier for people to understand. But Mark Clement, audio, fantastic. I loved it because it's just like the way that I learned. I listened to it like instead of listening to, you know, to WAP, I don't listen to WAP, but instead of listening to any type of like, you know, like Cardi B or anything like that, I was just listening to his audio the entire time where I'm going to and from work, or if I was going to or from clinicals. So just know that his audio is great. Take it with a grain of salt and for what it is. And if you do want to participate in that, make sure you guys look that up. He has a website, clinicreviews.com, and you guys can take advantage of that and everything that they have to offer. So what about for you, like for Mark?
So I re-listened to all the lectures. I think there was 12 of them twice before I took my NCLEX. And as you were talking, I heard of like a few things that he would say in his lecture, like a mean old mycin for mycin, or like neocan. It's really funny. A lot of those like little mnemonics, you can tell, really help me, right?
Yeah, you're just like, who can sterilize my bowel? Neo can. Hey, shout out to Mark. All right, let me stop.
So yeah, I agree that the lectures are a bit outdated. So I would take some of the stuff he says with a grain of salt, but I found it helpful as just like a really good backbone to the foundation that I was going to be studying for NCLEX. Then I kind of built on it myself. So I enjoyed his content. Honestly, his audios, even though you're listening to it, I could just like visualize a review because he's that like his personality is that powerful. So if you need a lively person to teach you information, like he was such a great resource for me.
Yeah, I like how you say that because I felt like I was actually sitting in the class, like sitting in a classroom. And so like he does create that environment, and like some of the audios, like there's 12 of them. I want to say it's like 12 hours worth of audio. Like, you know, each section I think was like 2 hours, hour 2 or something like that. And before I move on to the next little one that we had, or the next little one that's on our list, I specifically remember him saying this. He was a student was sitting there and was saying, Mark, I understand and I know everything that you're telling me. And he was like, good, because this is called a review, right? And he was just like, don't be scared when you know the information. Be scared if it's a news flash. So if you've been preparing the right way for school, for NCLEX, unlike me, if you're prepared for all those things, then when you're going through a review, you're gonna be like, yeah, I know this. You're just gonna spit it out. It'll be very helpful for you when you're going to tackle those things later on. So shout out to Mark Clement, fantastic resource. Make sure you guys check him out. Next thing is Kaplan. Now, I know that you didn't use Kaplan specifically. I used Kaplan, and I like to say that Kaplan was probably like the sole driving force for me, along with failing multiple times. I'm pretty sure that actually, took, the front seat to that. But Kaplan was the one-stop shop when it came for me passing NCLEX, because not only did Kaplan provide, they provided live NCLEX classes that were like an hour long. They have the decision tree, which the decision tree helps you break down questions and order for you to best answer them. And they have them for, you know, the Satan or select all that apply questions, as well as your first and your best questions, your matching, so on and so forth. And they also provide an ebook that comes with it when you buy it. You know, they have like, I want to say like anywhere between 3,000 to 6,000 questions that are broken up in multiple different forms, from a Q trainer to a diagnostics exam to, you know, all that good stuff, or readiness exam. I probably got more than halfway through those questions, but I knew that I had a content gap, and they provided all that for me when it comes to me standing, well, not standing, but when it comes to me understanding content. They also have a tab called Ask a Professor or Ask a Teacher. So if you're curious, or if you don't understand why you got a question wrong, they have like a specific serial number that you can copy. You put that serial number in that chat, and then somebody who works for Kaplan will be able to explain it to you. And 9 times out of 10, it's one of their virtual assistants, and the virtual assistant is a nurse. So that's also another one. The only thing about Kaplan is that it can get pretty pricey, anywhere from $200, $300, $400 for the 6-month pack. I recommend people getting the big one, which includes the questions, the review, and the 6-month subscription. I personally don't like just doing the questions, but if you have a great understanding of content for anything, not just Kaplan, if you have a great understanding for any type of content and all you need is questions, please buy questions. But if you feel like you don't understand content and you're having a hard time, like pharmacology was for me, then, you know, packages like Kaplan are great. So that's just another resource for you to use. Remember, the power's in your pocket, and for whatever you want to do when it comes to any of these study material ideas that we're giving out. So that's that. Next one. What do you know about nursing.com?
So I did not personally use nursing.com, but I did look it up just to be able to give y'all some things about it. It looks like
somebody said it's a lot of money.
Yeah. I was going to say, I personally, like I said, didn't use it, but I see that you can watch lesson videos, which is really helpful. They have review study tools, so I'm assuming more like cheat sheets and things like that. And they have actually an Nclex simulation, which is really interesting because what helped me for my Nclex studying is actually getting in the groove of taking the exam. So I did probably about 6 practice questions. And because I was originally pre-med, getting into like that MCAT, which is our entrance exam if you wanted to go to med school, you actually have to sit down and do practice questions all the time.
Yeah,
so practice exams. So I got myself into okay, well, if I had to do this, if I wanted to go to med school, then I'm going to get myself used to doing this for Nclex. So that's what I did. So I feel like an Nclex simulation would have been so helpful, even to just do during nursing school, even if you don't know everything, because that just really helps give you an idea of where you're at, what your weaknesses are, and what you already know. And then it looks like they have lots of practice questions available. I wasn't able to find a specific number, but I'm not sure if you would know, Kevin.
No, I honestly don't. Like, as I was going through and I was trying to look for other things, because I was in a position that, you know, everyone else was in, trying to find things that are helpful for them. Mm-hmm. And I like they have a podcast, and I thought it was okay, but it was also kind of short. But they give like a free, like a cheat sheet, you know, like to, you know, of all the important things that you would need to know. They have it broken. I do know that they have it broken down by the years of where you are in school. But I personally didn't know a lot about it, but it was on our list for if anybody knows anything about it. You guys can talk about that and have that conversation in the chat, share the links, how you feel about it. But the one thing I do know is that when I was looking at their subscription, I want to say it was like $38 a month or $40 a month and something like that. So it all just depends on, you know, if, you know, what you want to do in regards to, you know, spending that kind of money. I know that not everybody is financially, you know, able to do that. But if you are, and if it works for you, then by all means, you know, take care of that. So the next one we're going to roll into, I see a bunch of people talking about it right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to hit it now. So we're going to talk about simple nursing, right? So simple nursing, Nurse Mike, love it, on YouTube. Absolutely love it. Loved him for pharmacology. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. His YouTube channel, I like I'm a huge nerd. I love anime. Shout out to all my anime heads out there. I know I talked about it last time on, when I was doing this webinar. Shout out to all my anime heads, but it's just like, but those infographics that he has and those little ditties that he has for you to remember pharmacology, absolutely fantastic. Some people are saying that his Q bank is great, but I know for me specifically, when I was learning about his ways of learning for pharmacology, especially like for heart medications, it was fantastic. What about you? Did you use him? Was he like a pretty good factor and when it came for you making, the infamous Kristen pharmacology cards?
So no, I actually instead really used Registered Nurse RN on YouTube.
Shout out to Nurse Sarah.
She was my go-to. But specifically when it comes to pharm, I actually downloaded an app. I know in school, a lot of schools use like the Davis's Drug Guide, but I decided instead of buying the book to get the Unbound version, which is an app, and it basically all you do is type in the drug and it has everything you need for that drug.
Right.
So that's what I used instead of watching YouTube videos for pharm, at least.
Oh, okay, that's great. Hey, so people are blowing up. Hey, everybody loves them some Nurse Sarah. Hey, let me just tell you, that lady is awesome. So
Yeah.
we know, I know all about Nurse Sarah. She definitely was one of those great determining factors when I was in school. And I see other people talking about level up nurse, her farm cards, her YouTube channel is great. I see who else? Somebody said something like Your Best Grade. Did you ever use them?
Oh, wait, is it your best grade for like the HESI?
So like it was like for HESI, has like different questions. They have it like they have all different types of like it was set up like in a game factor. Like I have it as one of my things that I like to tell like new nursing students. It wasn't on our list, but I see people talking about it right now. And if we don't cover it here, I talk about a couple of things like on Instagram, or I'll give suggestions to people about like, hey, these are some really great resources. So if we don't talk about it right here, then, follow myself, follow Kristen, and, we post about it and you'll see it. You'll see us talking about it or possibly do links and how we feel about that. But Level Up Nursing, great. Now, Registered Nurse RN, we talked about her. Nurse Sarah, we love her. She's great. Now let's talk about UWorld.
Yeah.
You ever use UWorld?
I did. So I purchased UWorld. I know some people purchased, for example, like I think it's the Archer review.
Archer, yeah.
I decided to go for UWorld just because my class was actually trying to get, so for all you nursing students out there, talk to your administrators, because if you have a bulk order of UWorld through your school, you can actually get, I believe it's like 15 or 20% off, which might not be a lot, but it really does make a difference in the end. So that's why I chose UWorld. I really liked the interface specifically because it looked exactly like
the Nclex. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm a person that struggles with test anxiety. So like I said, I like to get my mind in the zone as if I was taking the Nclex. So having that interface for me was very helpful. The questions, I know I've talked about this on my channel before. I wouldn't say the questions were exactly the same. I felt like UWorld was a lot more challenging, but everyone gets a different Nclex exam, so I can't really speak on anybody else's experience. However, for me, UWorld was a lot more challenging. It took me a minute to really get my groove into UWorld and really pick up my score. Eventually, I was getting around like 60s and 70s, but that content really made me critically think, and I would purchase it again. But that is just my opinion.
Of course. I had a different experience, and like I said, it was just like for me, there was a lot of other, determining factors that were going on in just work and life. While I was actually, still active duty, while I was using UWorld, people swear by UWorld. Personally, for me, I had a content gap, and I didn't like UWorld because all UWorld gave me were just question answers, and they wanted me to read. This is where I determined and I figured out for myself that I cannot learn by just reading. I can't do it. So I will tell, like, me and UWorld just don't vibe like that. Like if I saw UWorld on the street, we'd be having a problem right now. You know what I'm saying? I don't fight people because, I'm a softie, but it's, but it's like UWorld, it's a great resource and the power is in your pocket of what you want to do. But UWorld is just another, it's just another one of those things. But if you are all about questions and answers, and you want to read your rationales, which are great rationales, then by all means, that is for you. But for those who need a little bit extra and who really need to understand content, because you can get through nursing school by the seam of your pants, trying to figure out like, oh man, I don't remember, how to do an assessment, or I don't remember, certain things about, the causes and effects of certain drugs for pharmacology. Like that's a big deal. So if UWorld doesn't provide that, other things do. So I personally will tell you, do your research on what you feel for UWorld. Kristen recommends it. I say, but it's the same thing with Archer. Yeah. Same Archers is the exact same thing, but it's cheaper. It's cheaper. So, just be aware of that. So what do you know about the Hearst review?
I've had friends take it, but I did not use it myself.
Okay. So while I was in school, someone bought Hearst and then they were passing it around. And so here's one thing that I could tell you guys is that work smarter, not harder. If you guys have a group of people, 5 or 6 people, one person by Hearst, one person by UWorld, one person by Archer, one person by Kaplan, and then see if it works for you. And then you guys can all share and save money. So if you guys want to look at that, it's just like, it definitely helps you for, it's just like, hey, I have one person that does this. I have one person that does that. And, you can pick and choose on what you can use. Like I heard someone on YouTube say, I bought Hearst and my other friend bought Kaplan. And I didn't like Hearst when I got halfway through it, but then I liked Kaplan. So he and I switched. Or what we did is I bought it and then multiple people, like 2 or 3 people in my class shared it. So we split the bill. So remember, and I want you guys to think about it like this, is that nursing is a team sport. It's never an individual sport. In my ICU, if you ever go around thinking that you're hot, Heather, I was about to say a bad word. If you guys are walking around your units thinking that, I'm just going to say it. If you guys are walking around your units thinking that you're hot shit and you can only do it by yourself, you are sadly mistaken. So when you are doing these reviews, it doesn't have to be a big team, but do things together, work as a unit, like work as a team. So use that concept at the beginning where you guys are in prerequisites or in nursing school in order for you to take that same concept into the units that you're going to be working on. Kristen works in labor and delivery. There's no way that they could do their jobs efficiently if she wasn't there to, Randy Moss a baby. So, and there's no way that I could do my job if I didn't have RT, if I didn't have the doctors, and if I didn't have my other nursing colleagues there with me. So just take that team concept right at the beginning and just keep it with you as you're going through your nursing journey. I think I talked enough about that. So teamwork makes the dream work. I said it again. Oh my God. ATI. This is your realm.
So I know I saw a lot of comments say, "Oh, my school has ATI. I hate it." Well, I have a different opinion.
Oh boy.
My school used ATI. This is just one of my books. So that I know of, I've heard just by people reaching out, some schools don't invest in the book package. You only get that online package, which in my opinion, I like the books. I did not really enjoy the online material, and this is just my personal opinion, but the books is very similar to Saunders. If y'all know about the Saunders Nclex review book, I just feel like for me, they were a little bit easier to read. And I know that if your school doesn't offer them, for example, like mine was in my tuition, you can get your hands on the books. However, they are pretty costly. So I always say, like, maybe if somebody's selling them, or if you know somebody that may have used them previously, and how you can get your hands on them. But they are basically just a really good Cliff's Notes version. And I wish I had like my med surge, because that's the book that I really use. That's currently at my mom's house. But
shout out to mom for holding on to that book.
I know. I was trying to see. So basically, just to give you like a quick glance, it basically is just a nice outline of the topic that you're studying. So I could just pull something up. For example, if I was researching diabetes, I would go to the diabetes chapter. It would be maybe 2 to 3 pages long, and it would literally be in the nursing process. So you'd first start with your background. Then you'd go in the assessment, and then it would go into the diagnosis, and then the planning and the implementing and all that. So in my opinion, that is how I set up my notes, because med surg is very nursing process, ad pi, like you need to know that backwards and forwards. So I enjoyed the ATI books, but I have heard mixed reviews. So if you're one of those that don't, it's okay. However, like I said, the online portion, the questions were just, a lot of the students in my program said that they were just weirded, funky. The questions weren't very helpful. You'd think you'd answer it right, and then it was wrong, and it didn't really have the best rationale. So that's my impression on the online. So I tended to stay away from the online, which is why I decided to purchase UWorld instead.
Can you mention that book again that you just had?
The ATI one or Saunders?
Just pop them both up there.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
So this is my ATI. This is the comprehensive RN book that I have. But ATI, I think, comes with like 8 different books if your school provides it. So I had it for med surg, I had it for foundations, pharm, OB, peds, community, and I believe there was one more in there that I just can't think of right at this moment. And then Saunders, this is the 8th edition, so I think this is the newest one at the time. I don't know if they have a 9th yet, but Saunders, I actually purchased this book right before I started nursing school. This book costed me about, I believe, $60. I got it at Barnes and Nobles, and I think they do have sales, so sometimes you can find it for like 40 or 50. The nice thing about the Saunders book, it's very similar to ATI. However, it's not set up in the nursing process. It's a little bit different, so it really just depends on how you learn. However, it is kind of set up in just like this bullet point, like numerical format. Very easy to read. It's a little bit more lengthy than ATI, so you'll see like probably instead of like 3 to 5 pages, it might be more like 7 to 10 pages. The thing about Saunders, though, that's very helpful, they have practice questions at the end of a section, so you can quiz yourself right after you're done. I'm opening to a page that has questions so you can see what they look like. And another thing that people don't talk about the Saunders book is you can actually go online, and Saunders comes with over, I believe, 6,000 questions, which I didn't even know about until I started studying for Nclex. But these are what practice questions look like in the book. And then in the book, it also comes with a whole comprehensive exam, and then you get 2 more online as well on top of your 6,000 questions. So that was all $60, this book right here. And one last thing I want to say about it, a lot of students in my program told me to use it throughout nursing school. So as you can, I tabbed it like crazy, and it was very helpful because whenever I did go back and study for Nclex, I had already read most of the material in here, so it kind of was just familiar and a quick review.
Yeah, so it's great. I'm sorry. I'll cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I was like, that's all I had to say about Saunders.
Oh, like, yeah, because I heard that same thing. It's just like, but once again, I was hard-headed, and I was just like, no, I got it. So I wish I would have actually started doing that, like while I was at the beginning of nursing school. So, it's just one of those things that's just very super helpful for you guys while you guys are in your first year of nursing school. So if you guys decide you guys want to get that Nclex book, make sure you guys get one, and get the thick one, because she's thick with 2 C's. So make sure you guys get that one, okay? Here's a couple of other resources that you guys can look at. We're not going to go into detail about them, but you have Sketchy Nursing, which is also on our list. We don't have time to get to that one today, but look up Sketchy Nursing. Of course, Nclex Mastery. They actually have an app that I know about, and they give like a set amount of free questions, and then the rest of them are blurred out because they want you to pay for them. I didn't pay for them, but when I'm sitting there for about a few minutes and I'm just scrolling through them, blah, 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 boom, I got it right. They have the rationale. So that's a good one for you as well. Quizlet, of course, you have the questions on there. You can use those as well. Some people don't like it because it's not accurate, but then, nothing is really accurate unless you work for, the board of nursing that make the exams that know the answers. And then also you have, don't forget somebody said something, the Saunders for P and no, that was the Saunders book for RN.
Yeah.
that you had, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. So also, there's another website called Cram, CRAM. It's exactly like Quizlet, but it's called Cram. So it does the same exact thing. It makes flashcards and all that good stuff. So I want to move on to a couple of things. We want to talk about some free resources. Um, Free resources I like, of course, I will always tell anybody YouTube. YouTube is the #2 search engine on the entire planet. No, the #1 is Google. Guess who owns YouTube? Google does. Go figure. So there's a bunch of YouTube channels that are out there that are super duper helpful. One, mine. Hello. Two, Kristen's. Hello. Let me stop. But one that I really, really love is called Icu Advantage, and it's by Eddie Watson, and it's fantastic. It's specifically for ICU nurses, but he has a lot of videos that are on there that are very visual as he articulates himself very well as he's talking about it. But everything from shock, understanding EKGs and ECGs, ABG interpretation, those are like all the things that you need to know and understand while you're in nursing school and while you're preparing for your NCLEX. And then, of course, even in your years as a nurse, it's like ABG interpretations. When you guys are looking at labs, you guys got to know what's going on, because if your patient is desatting, you got to be able to understand like why they're going in that direction, and if they're going to be upgraded or downgraded from a step down unit to ICU, or if they're going to go to med surg, or if they're going to go home. So those are just those things to be super aware about. He also talks about vasopressors, and he also talks about CRT, which stands for continuous renal replacement therapy. But I wouldn't expect anybody to know what that is unless you were an actual ICU nurse or somewhere along those lines. So those are that's a really good YouTube channel that I could suggest. Do you have one?
Like I said, for me, I use Registered Nurse RN. She was just my go-to. I really enjoyed and appreciated how she took the time to write on a whiteboard
Yes.
behind her. She might not be the best at art, but she did the best she could with the resources that she had. So
She sure could.
I would suggest Registered Nurse RN any day.
Shout out to Nurse Sarah. Okay, so I have another. This is like something that I did, and it's so simple. It's stupid, even though I'm not saying that you're stupid, but maybe I'm saying I'm stupid because it was that simple. So what I did, I'll give you guys an example. So I had some things like Post-it notes, like the Post-it notes that you can get, or if you rip up pieces of paper and tape them, you could do this as well. So when I was I'll give you an example. I would use Post-it notes all around my house in order for me to remember things. So as I was walking around my house, I would have posted to the refrigerator, and it would be like an NCLEX question, or it would be cranial nerves, or it would be something. So I would try to correlate the location of my house to the sticky note. So for example, like when we're talking about cranial nerves, right? I know somebody's like, Post-it notes. I know they're the bane of everyone's existence, right? It's just like, select out of the apply questions. But as I was learning like the cranial nerves, I was learning like, cranial nerve #1 is olfactory, which involves your smell, right? So something that, even though it's cranial nerve #1, I would post it to the stove, not on the stove or on the burner, because that's not smart. Or I would post it like on the microwave because it's associated with smell. So as I was cooking, so it would be cranial nerve #1, olfactory nerve, and then whatever it was, and I would correlate it, and I would push it, I would post it there. Or then I would go to, another example would be cranial nerve #2, which involves sight. I would post it to a mirror because I associated it with what it actually meant. So I walk past my bathroom every day. I go in there every morning to get ready before I go to work or before I went to school, and it worked. So I would be like, oh, cranial nerve #2. Oh, this nerve. Oh, this is what it means. Oh, I see it every day. And so that way, when I'm thinking about it, I'm just like, wow, oh, okay. So I know when they're talking about what nerve is affected, I know that I'll be like, man, cranial nerve #2. I was brushing my teeth in front of the mirror, the mirror, right? And boom, I would be able to correlate what I did with my Post-it note to when I was taking an exam or when I was studying. So that's just a little nugget for y'all, to try to think outside the box when it comes to studying for yourself. Because remember, everybody learns different. That's the best way that I obtain knowledge and I retain knowledge. So what's a way for you to retain knowledge? So there's one good one. Another one, nurselab.com. Kristen.
Yes. So nurselabs.com is a free resource. Anytime I had to do a care plan for clinicals, for class, let me tell you, this was my go-to. So Nurse Labs already has available to you a whole bunch of different NANDAs that already have the care plans assigned to them. You can read through them. You have different options that you can choose from when it comes to different NANDAs and just different subsections in that care plan. So I always use nurselabs.com, especially when I was at school for clinical. That was my go-to. Later on, I found out that Nurse Labs has a whole bunch of cheat sheets that you can look at. And there are also a bunch of practice questions on there. Because normally what I would do before an exam, I liked to, a week before, really just stop with my notes and just start practice questions. So I would do registered nurse RN practice questions. I would find as many as I could on Quizlet, Saunders, wherever I could get my hands on these practice questions. And I found out that nurselabs.com has a whole section just broken up by topic. So you can go on nurselabs.com, see what the questions are. Some might be repetitive because it is a free resource, but let me tell you, if you don't want to purchase something, this website is such a good resource. And I'm so glad that I could share it. And I know I saw a lot of Nurse Labs. Awesome.
He's like, I love it. Oh my God. And here's the thing. If you guys are not in nursing school yet, but when you get there, and all my first year nursing students are going to really understand this, but that first care plan that, I don't know about y'all, but I had a care plan that was like 44 pages long. And it was gross. It just was not fun. So when I was going through the NANDAs, trying to understand everything, I was just like, yo, I could use this. I could pick this. I could pick this. Oh, it broke it down so easy for me. I got this, that, and the third, right? So make sure you guys check that out. It's great. Helps with care plans, concept maps. It's a fantastic resource. So remember, if you don't want to pay for anything, there's a free resource for yourself. Last resource we're going to talk about, Facebook groups. So there are a bunch of Facebook groups that I would recommend that you guys look for, because there are people that are just like you, just like me, just like Kristen, that are starting nursing school, or I'm sorry, that are thinking about going to nursing school, starting nursing school, in nursing school, as well as who are already nurses and veteran nurses. So the nursing field and profession is all in one spot. So nursing groups in your local area, like I have one for my area and I'm a part of. There's another group called Nursing Student, and it has like 45,000 nursing students and nurses that are in there. There's another one called Nursing Support. You can find that one. They also have other ones like Nclex RN Study Buddies, right? And this also includes those who are LVNs and LPNs, because you guys are still nurses. It says it in the title. And I don't know why people decided they say, you know, really stupid stuff like that. But LVNs, LPNs are nurses, and you guys are a part of this community. So make sure you guys as well jump in to those groups. There's another one called Tribe RN, which is fantastic. So make sure you guys check that one out as well. I want to say that one has about 29,000 people in there. And then of course, we have Kristen's group, her Facebook group. And we put that link to Kristen's Facebook group in the chat. So, I mean, that's all. I think that's all the resources that we have right now, that we can share with you guys. And I think we'll open up the floor real quick and ask anybody if they have any questions. We have a couple of minutes because, you know, we kind of ran over our time. Sorry, Heather. Everybody tell Heather I'm sorry. And if you guys have any questions, I think we have some time where we can answer a couple of questions real quick before we finish. So if you guys have any questions, let's see what them. Hey, you guys are welcome. Yeah, anytime. Any tips for pathophysiology? You got any?
Me? Okay. Yeah. So my professor did a great job at giving us this study guide that had a bunch of questions on it. So I think what my big suggestion for patho would be, if you could start getting your mind set into that nursing process to really understand like just how the disease starts
Yeah.
and really just write it out. I mean, like I said, we all learn differently, but for me, I wrote all the information out that I had. So like my professor would be like, for if I'm using diabetes as an example, like, talk about the cause of diabetes.
Yeah.
So I wrote out all the causes, what could happen. And I tried to make it less than a page for every health condition that I was doing. So I'm trying to think, what are some really, really good tips? Yeah, I would just say follow the nursing process. So know like why the disease occurs, know signs and symptoms. I was asked so many signs and symptoms in patho that those were like the select all that apply. Just hint, hint. Those were
Yeah.
really good select all that apply questions. Then I would say, at least for my school, we were asked very minimal questions on treatment because treatment was more the med surge side. So that's probably the biggest tip that I have for patho. But one thing I could say about that is even for patho or med surge, one thing that really helps me that I feel like a lot of people don't really talk about, like 1 week, maybe like within the week before your exam, take a blank sheet of paper and just brain dump everything you can think of about that one like health condition that you're studying.
Right.
That will give you a really good idea of what you really don't know. One of my like classmates in my cohort taught me to do that. So that's probably what I would say, because you can go ahead and get an idea of what you don't know. So then you stop studying the stuff that you already know and focus on what you don't know before that exam.
Right. And that's helpful, is like make sure that, like I said, however you learn best for yourself, and it may and it's trial and error until you figure it out. Like everybody will tell you, hey, know the book, know the PowerPoint, but no, that's not necessarily it. If you have to write and data dump, then do that. If you have to, record audio and listen to it, then do that. Whatever is best for you. So this is going to be our last question. I know that you guys had a lot of questions to ask, but we kind of went over our time because, we wanted to give you guys as much of the meat and potatoes as possible. So this last question right here: how do you deal with imposter syndrome? I feel like I won't pass my classes or the Nclex sometimes. Keep yourself around positive people. Those people that have been in your position. Find mentors that are in the field of study that you are in. So if you are a nursing student, find somebody who has been a nurse for a few years, someone who's been a nurse for a few years and who loves it, because a lot of places around there, they're just like, oh, I don't like it, or nursing is a scam, so on and so forth. Find those mentors, find those people, write down questions or anything that you have about anything. So yeah, that's all we got for you, at least for now. So a recording will be available tomorrow on YouTube. We'll email that link to make sure that everybody gets that. But now we have a winner for our 1-year Picmonic subscription, and that person is going to be, drum roll please, that's a clap, but whatever. It's going to be Sarah Santos. So congratulations to Sarah for being a part of our webinar today and for being the winner. 30% off when you subscribe to Picmonic for the next 24 hours, because I saw Heather just drop that in the chat. Everybody say thank you, Heather.
Thank you, Heather.
Click the link in the chat right now so you guys can check that out. Wait about an hour to receive that email. That'll be a direct discount for the pricing. And thank you guys all for coming. Thank you, Kristen, for doing this with me. I really appreciate it. Yeah. And if nobody has anything else, which kind of I have a choice because Heather's going to cut me off, we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Bye. Thank y'all. Thanks for coming.
Bye.